They said there was a treasure on the island. Its location, known only to the dead. I could see it in my dreams. How was I supposed to know that in order to find it, I'd have to die too?
Well, I think you're a fool. Everyone on Devil's Rock knows what happened to that house. Over 30 years it stood empty now. Locals won't go near it. I say all it contains now is dust, cobwebs, and bad luck.
I don't have time for ghost stories.
Then what do you want with it?
33 years ago, the Belmore Trading Company was wound up and absorbed by the state. The owner's dead, the heir nowhere to be found. Money was missing from the company accounts, and it's still unaccounted for. I'm here to find it.
So you're a treasure hunter?
Not quite. I'm an auditor.
An auditor? Records, taxes, all that stuff?
Think of me as the adventurer of the accounts book. But on this case, I'm out of office and on location. At 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, the state's claim on that money lapses for good along with my commission. So I've got one night to find it. I'm overdue for a meeting with the parish comptroller to reopen the case.
The comptroller you're meeting wouldn't happen to be Theodore Grimes, would it?
Yes, I believe it is.
Would be hard to convince him, I'd say.
Why's that? I'm a good talker.
He died about 4 days ago. I'd wager he's waiting to be buried in St. Juniper Cemetery, stiff as a board.
Okay, that might be tricky. Talking to the dead isn't quite within my skill set.
Remember what I said about that house and bad luck?
My bad luck started long before that house. It's a 3-day journey to get here, and it took me 7. And ever since my suitcase got dropped overboard on the steamer, all I have to my name is a pocket watch, a magazine, and $1.
Less than $1, actually. You owe me for the taxi ride.
The taxi driver wasn't going to be interested in my magazine. He wanted cash. The taxi driver was the type to prefer payment over conversation. The taxi driver's small eyes peered expectantly over his flushed cheeks. He looked like a balloon animal that had been overinflated.
And here's your change.
Didn't you say you'd take me into town?
You can walk from here. No one with any sense would go further onto this island at night. And remember, the tide's coming in. Within the hour, you'll be cut off from the mainland until tomorrow.
That suits me. I took the pocket watch out of my vest and clicked open the cover. got 13 hours to find $13 million.
Unlucky for some, but if you're really dead set on it, here's a tip. Go find the Spirit Queen.
The Spirit Queen? Who is that?
I think you'll find you mean, what's that? Good luck, Murphy McAllen.
Walking into the port town of Deadnettle, I could sense its history in every stone, brick, and plank. Echoes of merchant ships loading and unloading all manner of cargo from expeditions throughout the Caribbean. Gold and treasure that may still lie hidden on the island. It was the door to a jewelry store named Doubloon's Jewelry. The door was locked with a sign in the window saying, "Closed for private appointment, reopening shortly." I could see two gentlemen inside the store. A spindly man with a wiry mustache had his face pressed against a display cabinet, while a diminutive older gentleman tried desperately to pull him away. I'd seen similar behavior in Laurel and Hardy pictures. The door was locked with a sign. I could see two. I'd seen similar behavior. A paper sign hung on the front of the theater. One side displayed the flair and fanciness of a person skilled with a fountain pen. The other side revealed it had been written on the back of a cut-up cereal box. The sign read, "The Fantastic Fantocchio Brothers will be performing tonight. All ages welcome. Tips welcome even more." Set up on the seafront was an elaborate carved wood puppet theater with Pulcinella painted across the top. The puppet show hadn't started yet. The ladder was covered in rust from the salty sea air, barely hanging on to the crumbling masonry. I had heard of the medical benefits of open-air night swimming. To my mind, the only medical benefit was diagnosing insanity in the people willing to do it. A faded poster had been pasted on the wall of the alcove. It had clearly been there for years. The poster advertised billiards at the Captain's Club, with 3 billiard balls and 2 cues framing a cube of billiard chalk. The poster advertised the tip of a wooden boat poked above the water, clearly the remains of a rather unfortunate expedition.
Slap meat with a paddle. It's a whopper. Well, blast my barnacles. That's the third one tonight. These fish sure must have been spooked by something.
I thought better of swimming out to the wreck. As best as I could tell, all it contained was dock mud and the future promise of an antibiotics prescription. It was the pocket watch I'd been given when I reached 5 years as an auditor. I didn't know whether it was to celebrate the fact or rub it in. The fisherman sat on the edge of the dock looking as content as a cat with a can of tuna, and with the same smell, too. Are the fish biting?
Not so well today, to tell the truth. That was the first nibble in hours. I'm Ned Kipps, by the way. I haven't seen you around here before.
I'm here because I have a very important job on this island. A calling that only I can fulfill. Dark secrets that I need to uncover.
Oh, you're a tourist. Now, why on earth would you choose Devil's Rock as the place to vacation?
I must have done something to upset my travel agent. The name's Murphy McCallan.
Nice to meet you, Mac. Not peckish, are you? You can help yourself to what I got here in my bucket if you like.
Oh, thanks. My expectations of a local seafood delicacy quickly unraveled when I plunged my hands into what felt like lumpy jelly. Ugh! It was a handful of fish guts.
Ha! That's the best bait you get around here. They smell pretty bad, but the critters on this island love them. Who would have known they're good at suckering in tourists, too?
What's life like in Dead Nettle?
Well, it's not the hustle and bustle it used to be, but it suits me just fine. The ships just don't come through Dead Nettle anymore. Not since the disappearance.
He must have been talking about the Belmore wedding. The locals actually believed the story. Have you ever considered moving to the mainland?
Nah, I wouldn't like it over there. Crazies, oddballs, crackpots. The mainland doesn't have any of them.
What's that you're reading?
This is Herman Melville's Moby Dick.
Are you enjoying it?
I'm struggling my way through it, to be honest. I thought it was a how-to book. I much prefer the last book I read. It was much more action-packed.
What book was that?
The Encyclopedia of Fishing Lures, 3rd edition.
Have you heard of the Spirit Queen?
Heard of her? Sure. But I wouldn't be heading out into the bayou at this time of night.
If she's out there, that's where I need to go.
Murphy, the bayou's dangerous. It's not the kind of place you want to go alone.
I'll be careful.
Well, if you're set on it, just take the western route out of town, left at Pimlico Rock, then right on into the bayou. Without dark it gets in there, you'll see the lights guiding you the last stretch of the way. Just make sure the gators don't get too attached to you.
I'm going to get back to exploring the island.
I wouldn't go looking for it if I were you, you know.
Excuse me?
The folks this island gets now either seem to be looking for something or running away from something. You look like you're doing both. You've got your eye on that Belmore treasure, and I wouldn't be doing right by you if I didn't warn you to stay away from it. I know this island has a reputation for the macabre, and it's all fun and games in the beginning, but dig too deep, and you end up in a place you don't want to be.
What makes you think I... Ned looked at me in a way that told me my playing innocent wasn't going to work. Okay, that's right, but I'm not a grave robber. I'm an auditor, contracted by the state.
It don't matter what your reasons are, Mac. You need to be careful with that house. Us locals, we don't go anywhere near it.
I appreciate the concern, but who can really say they've seen a ghost?
I have, Murphy, and I'm not the only one. Ever since the disappearance, anyone brave or foolish enough to go up to that house has seen the same thing. You might say it was moonlight shimmering off dusty glass, the shadow of a tree branch, or a curtain blown by an unseen breeze. But deep down, we all know what we saw.
What did you see?
The Phantom. It's not something anyone will forget. Every poor soul who's seen the Phantom has been plagued by the most awful experience. Night after night of endless nightmares. Months of restless sleep. Just visions of faces. Evil faces. Laughing. It's like it can infect your dreams.
And who do you think the Phantom is? Or was?
Nobody knows. But it must have been someone at that awful wedding. Someone who doesn't want to leave the house. Or doesn't want to let anyone in.
I appreciate your concern, but I have a job to do. I don't think my boss would be too happy if I report back that ghosts and ghouls are what's standing in my way.
You're not the first to come looking for the treasure, you know.
But if I find it, I could be the last.
Whether you find it or not, I hope that's true. For everyone's sake.
Ned's talk of nightmares was the last thing I needed to be worried about. Even if it was a job, ever since I read about the Belmore treasure, all I could do was dream about finding it. It was a handful of fish guts so odoriferous they made my eyes water. The fishing net was worn and useless. Using it would have been like trying to catch soup with a sieve. The billboard poster was peeling away to reveal layers of advertisements underneath, like some sort of consumeristic onion. It was a billboard advertising Bloom's canned beef. Of all the ways to eat beef, the canned form was definitely at the bottom of my list of preferences. It was a telegraph mast, with cables radiating outwards to the buildings surrounding it. I wasn't going to climb the mast. I had neither the proficiency with electrical equipment nor the desire to get electrocuted. Of all of the papers pinned to the board, one article stood out to me. It showed the beaming face of a rotund fisherman on the docks with a headline declaring he'd just broken the island's heaviest catch record. A notice board stood outside the newspaper office, containing a mixture of advertisements and front pages from previous issues. The door led into a building that had Juniper Parish Gazette painted on the side. It was the door to a newspaper office. A note on the door said, "Out on a scoop, back later." Shirts, socks, and oversized underwear had been left out to dry overnight. Shirts, socks, and oversized underwear. The clothesline was decidedly out of reach, even for a person who wanted to steal someone's freshly laundered undergarments. I wasn't one of those people. As I returned to the beach, I could see the causeway was now fully flooded over by the rising tide. I was trapped here until dawn. With the high tide, the entirety of the causeway was now covered over by water. Only the guideposts peeking above the waves gave any hint of the road below that had brought me to the island. There would be no way to cross the causeway back to the mainland until the tide had gone down. The beach was dotted by tide pools, partly filled with seawater. I peered into the tide pools, but all I could see was pebbles, sand, and seaweed. A helium-filled balloon bobbed gently in the breeze. I didn't want to take the little girl's balloon from her. Her brooding face made it more than clear that it wouldn't be a good idea to get on her bad side. I thought I should introduce myself first. A little girl sat hunched over a tide pool, accessorizing her pretty dress and ribboned hair with a scowl as cold as an iceberg. It was the face that could sink 1,000 ships. A tin boat puttered around the tide pool, watched unenthusiastically by the little girl. Despite the little girl's disparaging look at her tiny toy, I doubted she'd be okay with me commandeering it. Hello? Little girl? You lost your mommy and daddy? It's late, there could be a lot of strange people around.
Yeah, I think I'm talking to one.
Maybe I should introduce myself. My name's Murphy McCallan. What's yours?
Mallory Wisp, angel on the outside, malevolent force of disparagement, derision, and disorder on the inside. At least, that's what Mrs. Huxley wrote in my school report. Hey, do you know what an enfant terrible is?
Do your parents know you're here?
Of course they do. This is my happy place. I come here when I need to cheer up.
What's got you down?
It's my birthday, and I didn't get the present I wanted.
Well, happy birthday. Is being out here helping?
A little. It's a nice place to plot my revenge.
This doesn't sound like an appropriate way for a little girl to spend her time.
Little girl? Little girl? What am I supposed to like? Posies and princesses? Tiaras and tea parties? Those are not my thing.
What present did you want for your birthday?
A doll.
A doll?
What's wrong with wanting a doll?
Nothing, I just didn't expect it. It doesn't quite fit with your whole aura.
I'm still a little girl. I don't have to defy all your stereotypes. Instead, I get this stupid tin boat. I know Sebastian's got something to do with it, too. He was all over the tin boat when I showed him my toy catalog from Mulligan's.
Is he one of your friends?
Not in a million years. You can see right through him.
Have you heard of the Spirit Queen?
Look, if Maury put you up to this, you can tell him that I have no intention of going anywhere near his big, boring boat again. And anyway, those skulls look better with a little lipstick on them. I even made some cowrie necklaces for them, but nope, if we have a skeletal uprising, they're just going to have to maraud without being dolled up. And they'll have to take it up with Maury.
Who's Moray?
Nope, not falling for it.
Do you like living on Devil's Rock?
This island is cut off from society, an isolated microcosm of the dark and macabre. If I'm honest, it fits me quite nicely. Lots of places to explore, too, when I'm not banned from them.
Where are you banned from?
Where am I not? The Captain's Club wouldn't let me in after I declared a mutiny. The lady at the newspaper office kicked me out when I tried selling stories about a zombie uprising. The witch doctor in the bayou threatened to hex me if I didn't stop sneaking on board and borrowing his toys. And the gravedigger banned me from the cemetery when I played a teensy little practical joke.
What did you do?
I convinced him the stiff he'd buried was still alive. People are so antisocial around here.
How are you planning on getting revenge?
I'm not sure. Currently, I'm at the plotting and ruminating stage of my plan.
What are you plotting and ruminating about?
How things would be different if I was in charge of the world. We had a school project last week. What we want to be when we grow up. Mildred wanted to be a baker. Bobby wanted to be a firefighter.
What did you want to be?
Queen of the universe.
I guess no one can accuse you of lacking ambition. Do you think you could fix the world's problems and make the world a better place if you were in charge?
Oh, absolutely not. It would be far worse. My patience is worn so thin with all the idiots around me. I don't know if it would be wise for me to wield that much power. You to the dungeons! You to the torture room! It would be very cathartic for me, though.
Shouldn't you be heading home?
I'm in trouble at home. Mrs. Huxley held me back for detention yesterday. Again.
What did you do?
I convinced 3/4 of the class to sign over their eternal souls to me in exchange for some jelly beans. Third graders are remarkably easy to manipulate with a bag of candy and a little peer pressure.
Why did you do that?
You've got to speculate to accumulate.
Why did you want their souls? What use do you have for them?
Just making sure I'm prepared. And that's just step one.
I didn't dare ask what she was preparing for. I better get going.
I wouldn't walk across the beach again if I were you. This beach is covered in quicksand. I can hop along the surface, but with your weight, you'll be sucked down like a noodle.
Oh no, really? This beach has quicksand?
Nah, I'm just messing with you. Tourists.
Would you like some fish guts?
No thanks. My dad brings enough back from the trawlers as it is. We have them 3 times a day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Really? You eat this?
You're so gullible, Murphy.
I'd like to buy your boat.
What do you think I am, a yacht broker named Mitch? Gotta get the big sales before the end of the month. I don't need your money. There's nothing on the island to spend it on.
What do you think of this magazine?
Ghost stories, huh? I mean, it's all right, but I like my ghost stories with a little more edge to them.
Have you seen how late it is?
It's not late for me. Is it past your bedtime? Maybe you should get back to your blankie.
I didn't want to take the little girl's balloon from her. Her brooding face made it more than... After what felt like miles, the eerie darkness of the bayou gave way to the soft orange glow of a gas lamp, and beyond it, The last thing I expected to find in the heart of the swamp. Hand-painted lettering on the side of a paddle wheel revealed the Spirit Queen wasn't a person, it was a riverboat. Its hull sagged, the wood swollen and split from years in the swamp. Peeling paint curled like dead skin, and what remained of its once grand decks now tilted and crooked. It looked like a wedding cake that had been left to rot. A fierce-looking alligator blocked my way along the jetty. A broken chain hung from its neck like a leash, but this creature definitely wasn't under control. Its milky eyes stared past me, but I could tell from the way it shifted, the way its nostrils flared, that it knew exactly where I was. It was the kind of water that made you question every ripple. Was it the breeze or something hungry? I may have been new to the bayou, but even I knew that plunging my hand into alligator-infested waters wasn't a good idea. Whoa! The alligator snapped at me like a sprung trap, giving me more than enough reason to stay well away from those teeth. If I wanted to get across the jetty, I needed to make sure the alligator wasn't on it. As I looked over the alligator, I deduced two things. Firstly, its clouded eyes suggested it was blind, though its sense of smell more than made up for that. And secondly, there was a chain around its neck suggesting it was domesticated, and I began to wonder what type of person would keep an alligator as a pet. As I looked over the alligator, firstly, its cloud, and secondly, a shrunken head dangled from the lamppost, a macabre shop sign for the riverboat beyond. As I took the shrunken head from the sign, it almost seemed to grin at me. Creepy. It was an aging water tower used to replenish the steam engine aboard the riverboat. I considered climbing the water tower, but I couldn't imagine what I'd find at the top other than stagnant, moldy water. And there was plenty of that in the bayou already. The glass of the window was so thick with dust and grime I couldn't see through it. The damp air of the bayou had swelled the window in its frame. It would need more force than my bare hands could supply to open it. A hand-painted wooden sign was nailed precariously to the front of the shack. The damp air of the bayou it would need more force than my bare hands could. The wooden shack had a single door. From the moss growing on it, it looked like it hadn't been used for years. I jiggled the handle, but the door was locked. I needed to think of something else. A swiveling wooden crane used to load up cargo in days gone by stood halfway along the jetty. The shrunken head was already disturbing enough without shoving rotting seafood inside it. That wasn't going to work. Nope. I needed to think of something else. Hand-feeding the alligator didn't seem like a good idea. What if it bit off more than I was offering? That wasn't going to work. Good evening, Ned.
Hello again, Mac.
You didn't tell me the Spirit Queen was a riverboat.
Oh, sure. That thing's been moored up in the bayou with her keel kissing the mud for years. Witch doctor lives aboard her now. Claims to sell all manner of hoodoo and voodoo. But to believe that, you need to be dumber than the bachelor in New Orleans, throwing beads at the Sisters of Mercy.
Catch you later, Ned.
See you around, Mac.
It was a mechanical scale used for weighing fish. To make use of that, I needed something to weigh. I couldn't do that. Nope. What do you think of this shrunken head?
You didn't get that from Dr. Morey, did you? My advice would be to use your own head. Keep away from that stuff.
Would you like these back?
You can keep them. Don't worry. You'll get used to the smell. Eventually.
There was nothing I needed to buy off him. What do you think of my pocket watch?
Is that how long I've been out here? And still no fish. Today's not my lucky day.
What do you think of this magazine?
Is this what got you interested in the Belmo treasure?
That's right. This is all I could find about it.
Just remember, don't believe everything you read.
I decided to leave Ned to his fishing. The fisherman's rod sat on the edge of the dock, its line undisturbed as it bobbed in the water. I had more important things to do than fish. By the side of the fisherman was a dirty, stained chum bucket. My pockets still reeked from the last. Nope. That wasn't going to work. I didn't need to show him that again. How would you like to trade your tin boat for this?
A doll?
At least the head of one.
Deal! Oh, I'll hug him and kiss him and conquer the world with him.
Prepare to weigh anchor. Mallory was squeezing the shrunken head so hard it looked like it might pop, and I didn't want shrunken head juice all over my vest. She seemed busy with her new friend. I didn't want to take the little girl's her brooding. I packed the fish guts into the tin boat. It was the smelliest little ship to sail the 7 seas.
Mr. McAllen.
Yes? How do you know my name?
It's a work assignment that brings you to the island. Am I right?
She began staring at me with intense, hypnotic eyes. Disguised within her tailored outfit and tortoiseshell spectacles, she had the crazed look of someone not entirely in touch with reality. That's right.
An auditing job.
Eyes that looked like she was reading my very thoughts. Yes?
And you're late. Days late.
I was beginning to panic. Ned had warned me about the supernatural on this island. Was this person standing in front of me equipped with psychic powers that could read my very thoughts? How do you know all this? Are you the witch doctor?
The witch doctor? No. It was written on this telegram that came in for you. It came through a few days ago now. Your boss isn't too happy by the looks of it. Bill Bolam, the taxi driver, telephoned and said I'd find you out here.
You're reading my telegrams?
I'm a newspaper reporter. It's one of the best ways to get a good story. Now, do you want it or not?
If you wouldn't mind.
McAllen, you're late reporting in. I don't remember authorizing the reopening of a cold case, but you better make sure it pays off, or you'll be swapping desks back to the mailroom. Sid Sinclair, Sinclair Auditing Company.
Do you want to send a reply?
What was there to say? My only contact was going to be pushing up daisies by morning, and my one lead was the magazine I'd been carrying with me since heading out. Before I checked in with my boss, I needed some progress to report badly. You know, for now I'll just leave it.
Suit yourself. Sounds like you're up to some fun on the island, Murphy. Be a sweetie and keep me updated so I have something to write about, won't you?
She didn't even wait for a reply before she started striding back through the bayou. She hadn't taken a single thing from me, and yet somehow, I still felt like I'd just been mugged. Perhaps this would attract the gator's attention. The hulking mass of scales and muscles lumbered to the edge of the jetty and dangled its toothy jaws over the side, its nostrils flickering at each waft of fish guts. The temptation to push the alligator into the bayou was building, but one wrong move while I was near it, and I'd definitely come off worse. It was the kind of water that made you question every ripple. Was it the breeze or something hungry? The temptation to push the alligator into the bayou was building, but one wrong move while I was near it, and the gator had clambered to the edge of the jetty, dangling its snout towards the bayou below. The temptation to Ready? Aim. With a splash that would be the envy of any cannonballing kid at a pool party, the irritable reptile disappeared into the murky bayou. I just hoped it didn't hold a grudge. The writing on the paddle wheel said in fancy painted letters, "The Spirit Queen." It was a large paddle wheel used to propel the ship, unused for years by the looks of it. A taxidermied fish was mounted on a board surrounded by a gold frame. The taxidermied fish looked like it was barely hanging on to the rotting wooden frame. Deciding it would be better coming with me, I picked it up. And in doing so, tore a long hole in its previously stitched-up seam. It was the taxidermied fish I'd taken from the riverboat, with a ripped seam opening up to the stuffing inside. I couldn't do that. The plaque read, "My beloved Bernie, heartfelt wishes, now you sleep with the fishes." The plaque read, "My beloved Bernie, heartfelt wishes, now you sleep with the fishes."
Spirits and specters from realms yet unknown, guide to me the wanderer who searches alone. Welcome, Murphy McCallan.
How do you know my name? Have you been reading my telegrams too?
I have no need for such trivial paperwork. I have eyes all over this island. Now it's time for me to see you for myself. Come, step into the light. I know a lot about you, Murphy. Unknown parents, a childhood spent in orphanages. I know things about you even you don't know.
How do you know all that?
My name is Dr. Morey. I am a conjurer, a shadow man, a controller of spirits that balance the line between life and death. And those spirits whisper to me. But for now, it's your time to talk, Murphy. Tell me why you've come to my humble abode.
I've been told you could help me.
That depends on what you seek.
I kept telling myself that the doctor's theatrics didn't convince me, that there must have been a logical reason why he knew what he did, but with how skittish the locals were, humoring him seemed like my only chance of learning more. I'm looking for the $13 million that went missing from the Belmore accounts. I'm an auditor in the company I work for.
Murphy, do you take me for a fool? I know what your mind sees when your eyes are closed. Tell me, Murphy, what do you dream of?
I dream about finding the lost treasure of Belmore Manor.
I see that spirit within you, hungering for more than an auditor's life. And I know you've dreamed about that treasure every night since you first read the story. Tell me I'm not right.
It's like the treasure is calling out for me to find it.
Many have sought the lost treasure of Belmore Manor. All have failed. Some, it is said, have perished in the process. Do you know what happened at Belmore Manor all those years ago?
The ghost story? I've read it, but I don't know how much of it is really true.
All of it. Dark magic runs throughout Belmore Manor. The house was built by the Belmore brothers, 3 merchants from England who made their fortune trading across the Caribbean. Xavier Belmore, an explorer, Yardley Belmore, an actor, and Cecil Belmore, a scientist. Their parents dead for many years, they each loved and cared for their young sister, Abigail. Abigail met a young sailor who worked aboard her brother's ships, and in less than a year, he proposed. The engagement was a scandal. Despite having the pick of any eligible bachelor in high society, her hand and her share of the Belmore fortune was to go to a commoner. Because of their unconditional love for their young sister, the Belmore brothers sanctioned the union. But people began to wonder if Abigail was being locked into marriage, whether by blackmail or black magic. The 3 proud brothers planned a grand wedding, but in the months leading up to it, one by one, each of the brothers was lost, presumed dead. And yet the wedding was still to go ahead. And with Abigail set to inherit the entire Belmore fortune once she came of age, people began to wonder whether the sailor was not a perpetrator, but a pawn. On the morning of the wedding, Abigail summoned the sailor to her chambers. "I don't love you," Abigail declared. "I never loved you." And before the guests gathered in the house, Abigail declared that she would marry another. On that same evening, John Rackham, first officer of the Belmore Trading Company, would be her new groom. Except that didn't happen. That night, everyone in the house suddenly and mysteriously vanished. Perhaps it was the last revenge of the scorned sailor. In the house that night was a heart that would be broken, a victim who would be tricked, and a force that would unleash evil. But no one knows exactly who each was. If you want to find the treasure, Murphy, you'll have to find out.
You're telling me that all of that actually happened?
And so much more, Murphy. Mysteries you have yet to uncover.
Dr. Morey's performance was gripping, but it seemed like something out of the vaudeville shows I'd snuck into as a teenager. Grifters peddling magic spells, fortune-telling, and miracle elixirs. At least that's what I tried to tell myself. And the treasure, is that real too?
It is as real as you are, Murphy. And someone went to a lot of trouble hiding it.
Can you help me find it?
I can. If you can prove your dedication to the search, I will need you to retrieve something from inside the house. A small leather pouch called a gree-gree still lies inside Abigail Belmore's bedroom. We will need it if I am to help you. This will get you inside.
You're not gonna pull a rabbit out of your hat for your next trick, are you?
I do not do tricks, Murphy McCallan. You'll soon learn this. The Belmore estate lies at the end of the northeastern peninsula of Devil's Rock. Find that gree-gree and bring it back to me. I'll be here when you return. And Murphy, this ghost story, now it's your story too.
There was no use returning to the riverboat without the gree-gree. I needed to go to Belmore Manor. Framed by trees and lit by moonlight, Belmore Manor stood imposingly in the still night air. Even without any lights on, it felt like something inside the house was calling me, or warning me. A large pond lay in front of the house, slowly being reclaimed by algae, weeds, and who knew what else. They were the imposing front doors to Belmore Manor. I wondered how many people had entered the house this way, and how many never came back out again. Belmore Manor stood proudly and enigmatically at the center of the estate. Who knew what had gone on inside its walls? I considered wading into the pond, water up to my waist, squelching my way through the reeds and mud, past frogs, bugs, and water snakes. Then I realized I had absolutely no reason to do that. From the outside, I couldn't spot any clues to the location of the Belmore treasure. Looking out over the tranquility of the gardens, its magnolias lit by moonlight, nothing could take my attention away from the macabre sight dangling from the oak tree. A hanged skeleton, its wedding suit little more than tattered rags clinging to bone, and its skull seemingly watching me with hollow, unblinking eyes. An eternal groom without a bride. A dying tree stood next to the balcony, its branches devoid of leaves, its bark flaking away. A skeleton, clothed in wedding attire, hung by the neck from a branch of the tree. Glinting in the moonlight was a wedding ring it still held clasped in its bony fingers. The stark trunk of the tree didn't offer any possibility of climbing it. The skeleton hung high up in the tree, swaying with each slight breeze. Even from down on the ground, I felt disturbingly close to it. An old carriage wheel sat discarded in the grass. The wheel was too heavy to move. Two large doors marked the entrance to the building, wide enough for the grandest of carriages. The doors were firmly locked from the inside. To the right of the carriage house's main doors was a smaller pedestrian entrance. A length of rope dangled a barrel in front of the carriage house's hatch. The other end was tied off on the handle of the side door. The knot was tied so tightly I couldn't loosen it. A cow skull was mounted on the frame as a macabre decoration. The cow skull was out of reach, high up on the gable. The barrel dangled from the rope like a piñata, but having this burst over my head would be the first step in getting tarred and feathered. A barrel hung from a rope marked in stenciled writing, molasses. The barrel dangled from the rope like a piñata. That didn't work. The handle turned, but the door was restrained by the taut rope tied to it. From its The knot was tied. The handle turned, but the door from its other end dangled a heavy barrel full of molasses. A horseshoe hung above the threshold of the gazebo, supposedly a symbol of good luck. A table and chairs sat inside the gazebo, an echo of better days. The horseshoe was just out of my reach. It was the full moon. I didn't think I'd ever seen it glow so brightly before. Gazing up at the glowing moon, it reminded me of a poem I could recite by heart, even if I couldn't remember where I'd first heard it. From way up high, the moon can spy beyond where eyesight delves, but with some time, the maritime can see those sights themselves. From the patina of rust, it was clear the patio set hadn't been used in decades. I was already where I needed to be, ready to go inside Belmore Manor. Ouch! So much for good luck. The horseshoe lay undamaged on the floor. Fortunately, my head had broken its fall. I picked up the horseshoe that had assaulted me. It was heavy, as the bump on my head attested. A large pond lay in front of the house, slowly being reclaimed by algae, weeds, and who knew what else. They were the imposing front doors to Belmore Manor. I wondered how many people had entered the house this way. I needed the key to open it. With a deep breath, I placed the key into the lock of the house I'd been thinking about for weeks and turned it. Hello? I don't know if I expected a reply, but with only an echo in response, it seemed like nobody was home. I hope that was just the wind. Huge paintings hung on the walls of the hall. It was a pair of decorated wooden doors. An orb appeared seemingly from nowhere, glowing and shimmering with energy, simultaneously captivating and terrifying. It was like it had a presence, an aura that I couldn't explain. My first instinct was to look for smoke and mirrors, but this illusion was right before my very eyes, one that I could reach out and touch. It was a pair of decorated... With neither of the doors appearing to open, I peered through the crack between them. I couldn't tell if I was imagining things, but it looked like shadows dancing. Flanking the staircases was a matching pair of doors leading deeper into the manor. Flanking the staircases was a... The door didn't have a visible lock, but as much as I tried, it wouldn't open. A marble fireplace sat between the two curved staircases, guarded on each side by stone lions. Without a flue, the fireplace seemed entirely decorative, and yet, standing in front of it, I could feel a breeze. Flanking the staircases was... Like the other door, this door had no keyhole, yet still seemed to be locked too. I remembered seeing reproductions of the paintings in the Merry and Macabre magazine I had. A heavy trunk sat in the corner of the corridor. Clearly, the artist had managed to imbue the brushstrokes with something of the subject's personality. It was downright sinister. The portrait exuded an unsettling aura. I didn't know who it was, but I didn't like the way he looked back at me. I tried to open the trunk, but in the darkness I only managed to fumble unsuccessfully with the latch. A heavy trunk sat in the corner of the corridor. this was strange. I didn't remember seeing any lights on when I was outside the house. Affixed to the wall were 3 servants' bells, used to call the staff to different rooms in the house. Affixed to the wall were 3 servants' bells, used to call the staff. I couldn't ring the bells from the hallway. It was a door to an unknown room. It was a door. The door was locked. The door was locked. Thick red curtains were tied back in front of the window. I looked behind the curtains, but there was nothing there. Walking into the room, I realized it must have been Abigail's bedroom. I was in the right place. Somewhere in this room was the Gree-Gree, and I needed to find it. A cord hung from the wall used to call the attention of the house staff. It was a grand 4-poster bed with a carving of a single rose on its canopy. The sheets lay flat on the bed, undisturbed for more than 30 years. The Gree-Gree wasn't going to be there. A grate opened beneath the stove to the ash pan, designed to allow burned charcoal and ashes to be cleaned out, and something inside it was glinting in the light. A sturdy iron poker hung from a hook by the fireplace. I took the poker from the hook.
Get out.
I hope that was my imagination. Above the fireplace hung individual portraits of 3 men. They must have been the bride's 3 brothers. The portraits hung tight to the wall and didn't reveal anything hidden behind them. That wasn't going to work. It was a marble fireplace covered in dust. Lighting the fire may have warmed the room, but it couldn't take away the chill I felt standing there. The corner of the room held a dressing table with a large trifold mirror. The phonograph in the corner of the room could be seen in the reflection. It was the top of the bride's dresser. It was a beautiful vase waiting for beautiful flowers. It was best to leave the vase where it was. Nope. The music box was locked with no visible keyhole, but a distinctive indent on the front looked like it might be the mechanism to open it, if I had the right key. The music box looked exquisite. The deeply varnished wood, grain still visible, was edged delicately with gold. There was nothing I could do with the tabletop. Nope. Through the dust and grime that had built up on the glass, I could see that the doors opened out to a balcony overlooking the pond below. I tried to open the balcony doors, but they were locked securely. I wasn't getting through them. It was an old phonograph used for playing music. The phonograph didn't have a record to play. I tried to lift the ashpan grate, but decades without use had rusted it in place. A grate opened beneath the stove to the ash, and something I tried to lift the ash. I couldn't do that. I wedged the poker in the grate, and with all my might, pulled. With the grate open, I could see the object that had caught the light. I picked up the object that had been glinting in the fireplace and discovered it was a jeweled brooch. It was an ornate brooch that had tarnished with age. What should have been a sparkling gem was now grimy and dull. brooch fitted snugly into the indentation in the music box. With a small click, the music box opened and revealed the contents it had held untouched for more than 30 years. Inside the music box lay the small leather pouch that had been described to me, the gree-gree. The small leather bag was just as the witch doctor had described. It was hard to imagine what could be so important about it.
You should not be here!
Wait, I can explain.
You don't belong here!
I don't mean any harm.
Get out! Get out!
With good fortune, the pond had broken my fall. It was a strange juxtaposition, wiggling goldfish out of my underwear as I tried to process the fact that I'd just been the victim of an attempted murder by a ghost bride. The stories were true, so that meant the treasure might be real as well. And now I had the gree-gree. It was time to return to the Spirit Queen.
Murphy, did you find it?
I saw her. I saw the bride. She tried to kill me.
I told you it was true. Now, do you have the gree-gree?
Yes, I found it.
Good. Good. Now, do you believe what I've been telling you?
I'm starting to. Why did she try to kill me?
There are some spirits that, even in death, do not wish to give up what they amassed in life. The question is, are you strong enough to persuade them?
I would be if they'd give me a chance to ask them.
Precisely. That will be our next step.
A manuscript for a voodoo spell? A spell to help me find the treasure?
A spell to reveal those who know where it is. There are many things on this island that have gone unseen. Stories that have been left unheard, at least by mortals. But I commune with realms beyond. Let me introduce you to a friend. Out of the shadows, the cursed and the damned, return now, my servants, to do my command!
I have returned to you, Master.
Loa, this gentleman wishes to find the lost treasure of Belmore Manor. Tell him how this can be done.
Only inhabitants of the house know where the treasure lies, their spirits still within its walls, trapped between life and death. To ask them, those spirits must be pulled back to the mortal realm.
And that is what our spell will do, Murphy. A summoning spell to unveil the ghost trapped within the house.
7 ingredients place inside, tie closed and then unseal. Within the focus what may hide, this spell will soon reveal.
Once you've collected all 7, we can summon the ghosts of Belmore Manor. Once we've summoned the ghosts, we can ask them exactly where the treasure was hidden. You have served me, Loa. Begone. That, Murphy, is your goal. Find the 7 ingredients named in the voodoo manuscript, place them in the gree-gree, and return to the Spirit Queen. Are you up to the task?
I think so.
Excellent. Then there's just one thing left to do. The gree-gree that you carry is not yours. It was stolen from the spirits. And an artifact of voodoo will only work for its rightful owner. To be used, it cannot be stolen. It can only be bought or traded or inherited. Fortunately for you, the spirits and I are willing to make a trade for something symbolic of your spirit. The spirit that yearns to escape its humdrum life. If you want the gree-gree to be rightfully yours, what do you have to offer? in exchange for it.
Would the spirits trade the gree for this?
This is no Mardi Gras fish fry, Murphy McCallan.
Would the spirits trade...
A reminder of the world you wish to leave behind, but I'm afraid it has no value to me.
Would the spirits trade...
Do you dare insult me, Murphy? What I offer is far more valuable than a few measly coins.
I wasn't going to be able to trade the gree for itself. Would the spirits trade the...
You will need to keep that, Murphy.
Would the spirits trade...
I know far more about the house than what is on that fish wrap, Murphy McCallan.
What about this?
A pocket watch, a symbol of the life that doesn't satisfy you, a symbol of lost time. Dare you give it up?
I think I can do without it.
Then cast it into the spirit pool. The spirits have deemed it a satisfactory trade. The gree and its powers are now rightfully yours to wield. You are ready now, Murphy. Head out to the island and retrieve the ingredients we need. Then I will show you the final step of the spell.
How am I going to find what I need?
Everything I've ever needed for my voodoo spells, I've found here. It's as though this island draws the supernatural to it. The bayou, the beach, the town, the manor, all will help you in your search. Tell me, Murphy, have you visited the mill to the north, the fort to the south, the church at the island's heart? The island will lead you to that which you seek. I have no doubt about that.
How are the ghosts trapped within Belmore Manor?
The explosion is what sealed their fate. They exist now only as spirits, the form they should take in the spirit realm, and yet they remain here in the mortal realm. The ghosts are trapped in that house, unseen, unheard, and unable to interact with the world around them. This spell will change that.
How is the bride able to attack me when she's supposedly unseen and unheard?
Voodoo works best when attuned to emotion, and the strongest of those emotions can sometimes push beyond the known limits. She must have been very angry with you.
If I summon the spirits of the house, won't I also summon the bride again?
Very true, Murphy. Best be a little more persuasive this time.
What was the explosion that caused everyone to disappear?
It was a tearing in the very threshold between life and death, a chain reaction of spirit energy suddenly unleashed by the most violent of emotions. Just as the bride's anger allowed her to manifest in front of you this very evening, think of the rage that must have caused an entire household to explode and vanish.
Who is the creature that you talked to?
That is my Loa. The Loa are the mysteries, the invisibles, the messengers.
Is it a ghost?
No, they are the intermediaries between humans and the supernatural. There are two planes of existence, Murphy. The mortal realm and the spirit realm. Loa can move between them both. With my powers, I can command them when they do.
How did you learn voodoo?
I have always been adept with the mystic arts. Just as you dream of treasure, Murphy, I dream of power. I came to Devil's Rock many years ago drawn by its voodoo energy, and no sooner than I arrived, the spirit realm began to reveal itself to me, pleading for me to be its master.
Why is this island such a focus of voodoo energy?
I suspect the answer to that question already lies in what you're seeking.
What's this riverboat we're aboard?
This is the Spirit Queen. It used to be a pleasure boat, ply on the rivers around the island, a den of drinking and gambling. That's how I came to own the boat. A lucky game of chance. But between you and me, Murphy, it's a lot easier to win when you have spirits to control the roll of the dice.
It sounds like you cheated.
Fate was always gonna bring this boat to me. I just hurried it along.
Do you keep an alligator as a pet?
That's right. My dear old Mephistopheles. Blind as a bat, but with the smell of a bloodhound. Good thing he's chained up safely in the boiler room.
No, he isn't. He was out on the jetty when I was trying to get aboard.
Where is he now?
Swimming in the bayou.
Oh dear, not again.
I'm going to go and find the voodoo ingredients.
Hurry back.